In just a few minutes, you'll become marked people, won't you? You'll be signed with a cross of ashes on your forehead so that when you leave here and you're at Drug Mart or at Giant Eagle, everybody will know you went to church, you're one of those Christians, one of those Catholics. You'll be marked. You can't escape it, can you? Unless you want to wipe them off before you leave. I know what that's like to be unable to escape something. Often I'm at gatherings when people whom I do not know in a social setting will know I'm a priest. So it happened that a man came up to me at a gathering, a social event, and said, "You're a priest, aren't you?" Now that's a loaded question. So it was with a little trepidation that I said, "Yes, I am." And he sat down on the couch next to me. And he said very simply but very boldly, "What's with you Catholics in this Lent?" What is with you Catholics in this Lent? What are you doing here on a Wednesday evening? So I pondered that question and thought, that's a great question. What is with you Catholics in this Lent? Oh, I suppose if I were really to pin you down or point to you now and said, just tell the rest of us, what is Lent? Why do you come and why do you celebrate Lent? Why do you let someone smear ashes all over your forehead? Well, I suppose some of you might have different reasons, but I bet they would become very pious, wouldn't they? Well, you think that's what I want to hear anyway. Who would say, oh, we Catholics have Lent because it's really a way that we can make up for our sins. Really? 40 days isn't enough for some of us. Or some of you might say, well, we do it so we can suffer with Jesus because he suffered on the cross, so we can suffer by giving things up all Lent. You don't want to suffer any more than I do you? That's not a good answer. Some of you might tell me other reasons why we celebrate Lent, but I think I would give you another. We celebrate Lent simply because it is within the very spirit, the DNA of every human being. The need to come away, to be quiet, to gain a renewed sense of balance, to put your life back in focus, to sit for a moment and be still. It is a hunger within us that in our modern society we do not often attend to. There is a hunger to be quiet, a time to rip the earbuds out of your ears, turn off that phone. We need that time. It's within our DNA. Oh, there's some really good experiences and images. We certainly have the scriptural one, Christ going out to the desert. He rids himself of all distractions, of anything that might take him away from focusing on his Father. Even food, that hunger is muted. And certainly even for other human beings, he is alone, even for human touch. He will not let anything distract him. And yet even there in the desert, the distractions come. And he is tempted to turn away from that Father who loves him, distance himself. But although that is a place of temptation, it is a place of the Lord's coming. His Father is there with more power than ever before. That's why we need Lent. A time to get in touch with who we are, to get rid of all the things that we think shield us from human experience. Time to know one another, but time to be still and hear our God. All the other noises that clamor for our attention should be muted. All the other things that would pull at us to say, listen to us, look at us. We need to turn away, for we need this time to experience God, to be vulnerable and open to what God can do with us. It's within us, isn't it? Let me give you some words that you probably said, and if you didn't say, someone else said it. You've heard it said, would you stop and leave me alone? I just want a few moments of peace. Leave me alone. You either said it today or you're going to yell it later tonight. Or you said, I can't believe it's already Ash Wednesday. I just put away all the Christmas ornaments. How did it happen so fast? I want to put the world on pause. I need some time to get it back together again. Or maybe it is simply you admit, I love my family dearly, but I have to acknowledge that sometimes I run to the bathroom, lock the door just so no one will find me. Yeah, we need to be quiet. We need to get away from it. We need to refocus. We need to be still. Our God is trying to reach us, talk to us, speak to us, but cannot get through the earbuds, the iPhones, and all the other distractions. We need Lent, and we feel it, don't we? We feel the lack of peace. We feel the scatteredness, even the brokenness in our lives. No, Lent is not to make up for something. Lent is not to give up something. Lent is to encounter something. Encounter a stillness that we're seeking. An understanding of God that eludes us in all the noise. Even our literature would tell us about that. Ashes and silence, stillness and encounters. We have a famous one for children called Cinderella. Did you ever analyze the words? Cinder, ashes. Ella, from the Latin word woman, puella, girl. The girl who sits in the ashes. Cinderella. She will need to be with the ashes before she'll ever dance with the prince at the royal banquet. It's a good analogy, isn't it? You'll need to sit in the silence with the ashes, with the emptiness where there is no noise, and even the emptiness where you give up some food, an emptiness where you give up some enjoyment or distraction. The ashes, those empty places. You will need that before you will ever dance at the banquet of the king. Makes sense, doesn't it? You will need the ashes before you'll dance in the kingdom. Or maybe it is from anthropology. We know our North American native peoples had a very interesting custom among some of the tribes. Living in congregate houses, they would have a central chimney, and there the fire would burn to keep the rest in the place warm and safe. The ashes would be gathered for a while in one place. And it was not unusual in some tribes for those who were going through difficult times. Perhaps their lives were marked with sorrow or mourning. Perhaps they were going through a testing time. Perhaps they felt the scatteredness we feel. But they would sit in the ashes. And the rest of the clan gathered in that house left them alone. To be silent in the ashes, silent there, for they knew there they were encountering something in the ashes, preparing for something more, to emerge somewhat better, to come out renewed. That's why we have Lent, because we simply cry out. Our very bones and spirit and life says, be still and encounter your God. If you need to give up food, go do it. But all the candy or all the alcohol, all the other things you give up will do you no good if there's not stillness in your heart. A willingness to encounter a God who's seeking you, a God who is so near you. It just takes the silence to hear God. So I want to go back. What is with you Catholics and Lent? Oh, a lot. I get in touch with who I am. I get to feel vulnerable but powerful with the presence of God at my side. Oh, I know why I celebrate Lent. Simply because I need it.